So, hey guys, I'm Josh Shannonhouse. Felt a call this weekend. We're at a men's ministry event called Fight Club. It's our midway event. And I've got my brother Will here. He didn't know he was going to do this, but we just grabbed him this morning. Just grabbing guys who have testimonies. Everyone has a testimony, and not one is like the other. So just wanted to bring him on and just share a little bit of how God's moved in his life. So thank you, Will, for being
Yeah,
here.
no problem.
So
Thank you.
Will, what's your last name?
Bontrager?
Bontrager.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yep.
How long have you been in fight clubs?
So this is my seventh round of Fight Club, so 3.5 years
Okay.
altogether. Yeah. So
what drew you in to begin Fight Club?
yeah, so I had somebody that invited me to Fight Club, and at the time I was all about self growth, leadership. Really wanted to jump in, dive in, just continue my journey of just bettering myself. And that is what drew me in. And I didn't just jump in. Somebody actually had to tell me, I kept putting it off. Somebody actually had to tell me, like, hey, today's the last day that you can register. And so, like, it motivated me to jump in. And then I've loved the journey ever since, and super glad that I did it. Yeah.
So kind of, I won't say procrastinated, but it took some nudging to
Sure.
get you
Yeah.
in. But
Yeah.
but now you've been in multiple rounds since.
Mm-hmm.
So what keeps bringing you back?
So it's actually changed over time, and so the first couple of rounds were all about me and my personal growth,
Mm-hmm.
and so like I love the fact that I can not only grow physically, mentally, spiritually, and relationally, which are the four areas that like I need like goals to hit. But as time went on, and as I became a leader in Fight Club, it became about the guys and seeing their growth and hearing their stories and their testimonies and how just impactful Fight Club is, not just on them but their families, and just the ripple effects it has, and just how we've seen just communities just among the men grow within their friends and their families, and them bringing people along. So it's been a fun journey to watch just the growth over the last 3.5 years. It just keeps driving me. Yeah.
Awesome. And for those who don't know, Fight Club's a men's ministry. We have a passion to reach guys for the gospel. So, it's great to hear the stories of life change
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. And ultimately, though, we got to point people up, right? It's all
Absolutely.
because of Jesus. So, would you mind sharing a little bit of your personal testimony? I mean, how did God get a hold of you? Why do you follow Jesus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I grew up, didn't grow up in church, have no real religious background. I did go to, outside of that, I went to church for probably about 2 years because my friends said, hey, this is cool. So I jumped in, but I was there just for my friends. I wasn't there to learn more about the Bible or to grow in my relationship with Jesus. And so, having no religious background, and then having kind of a rough family life between me and my dad, and it was just one of those, growing up, you learn how to walk on eggshells because you never know once he wakes up and he's not working, if he's going to be mad or not, and start yelling and screaming. So, kind of had a complex with men of authority for most of my life. And so with that, I always wanted to gain his approval of me. So I'd spent a lot of my life doing that. And as time went on, I started doing things that would make people happy. And I became a people pleaser and just said yes to everything. And so with that, I'm going out in high school, college, hanging out with the wrong crowds, going out, drinking almost every night, and then getting involved with the high school girlfriend at the time. Um, Stayed with her through college, and then we actually got married a couple of years after college, and without really knowing how to be a godly man or how to have any kind of moral code, um, just continued on that path of. It started off as going out and hanging out with friends and partying one night a week, and then it became 2 nights a week. And as time went on, we actually started drifting apart. And so one night, I actually, at a party, I kissed another woman, and then I had to drive home. And I thought everything was going to be okay. Everything was going to be all right. You know, I could just hide it, not say anything. And I got home, and I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. And, I just started bawling. And my wife was wondering what was going on, what's happening. And I had to look her in the eye and say one of the hardest things I've ever had to say to anybody, and say, hey, I don't think I love you anymore. And so that kicked off going to marriage counseling. And so through marriage counseling, uh, finding out all the things that she wanted to say to me and how selfish of a person I really was. And finding out all these things that because we didn't have communication, we didn't talk about the bad things. We always just talked about the good things. And so with that, it really opened my eyes to thinking, okay, maybe I'm not the person that I thought I was.
Right.
And so we went through marriage counseling for about a year, and just her heart was so hardened that there was no healing in that process. And we ended up getting divorced. And so at that point, that was probably the lowest part of my adult life. And it was one of those, I need to change something, but I need to go to church. That was the thought, is
Okay.
I need to get to God.
Yep.
But you know what? Like, I've done these terrible, like, I'm divorced. I've done some pretty stupid things. I've done some terrible things. Like, I'm not going to go unless somebody invites me.
Okay.
And so about a month after getting divorced, I had a coworker. I actually got a new job, and a coworker that I was working with invited me to church within a few weeks. Started going to church, and actually had a conversation with a pastor at the church that explained, was asking me, why haven't you given your life to Christ? Why don't you have a relationship? And it was just like, I just feel like I need to get everything right for Jesus, because I had Jesus here on a pedestal, and I had to please him before I could actually give my life over to him. And his explanation to me was something that changed my whole perspective of, like, you don't get your life to get to Christ, you get to Christ to get your life right.
Amen.
And so it really started making me think. And I had a men's conference shortly after at the church, and I actually just said to heck with it, and lifted my hands and gave my life to Christ that night. And I have just continued to work on growing personally and relationally. And through it all, I tried to do everything myself, and started dating, and that wasn't working. And then all of a sudden, I got to a point after, a year of dating. It's like, I don't want to even worry about this anymore. So God, it's in your hands.
Yeah.
So gave it over to God, and went on a guy's trip to Las Vegas. And I actually met my current wife in Las Vegas there, just on a guy's trip. She was there with her friend. I was there with my buddies. Just all the things that just happened to just be God working in the background was pretty amazing. And it's just given me a drive to just continue to just know that I don't have it all together, and that the journey has been a blast. And I can't believe the blessings that I have in my life now. I never would have dreamed that I would have had any of this. So yeah,
That's amazing.
thanks, man.
And obviously, we have a God who redeems,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not a single Pringle forever, right?
Right.
You gave it to God, and then who would have guessed in Vegas you met your
Yeah.
future wife? I mean,
Yeah, we lived half an hour from each other in northern Indiana, and never met each other, and just happened that God orchestrated it all.
that
So
is
yeah,
amazing.
thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your testimony. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I really hope Will's testimony here helps somebody. I mean, we know, divorce is rampant here in this country. But more than that, the biggest thing is sin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't care if you've been divorced or not, we're all sinners, right?
Right.
So, do you have any words, if someone's watching this who maybe doesn't know Jesus, that you would encourage them to have a relationship with him?
Yeah. So I would say that I've lived life before Jesus and after Jesus. And before Jesus, there was always depression. There was always people pleasing. There was always chasing somebody's approval. And there's a lot of anxiety in that, and a lot of worry and doubt. And I don't just say that to say it, but it's because I lived it, and it's something that is it still hasn't completely gone away. But the fact that like I don't have to worry about taking it on myself, but the fact that like the stresses of the world, if I can just take a moment and pray and give it all to God in the moment, find the peace that like I didn't have most of my life, and then I find strength in that as well. I would say that makes all the difference if you're dealing with any kind of anxiety or depression or worry, the things that bog you down. Just having joy in the Lord is way better than any of that. So yeah,
It's amazing. Well, Will, thank you for taking a few minutes with me to share your
absolutely, man.
testimony. I feel like we're kind of similar where, we both had to be kind of nudged to join Fight Club.
Hmm.
And it's not just about Fight Club. It's about Jesus. It's about, building disciples, right?
Yeah.
So appreciate you sharing your heart and how
Hmm.
Jesus has moved in your life. And I really hope that this helps somebody out there when they see it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.